Hey everybody, what's up? So Undercover Brony here, and we'd like to bring you a public service announcement. This episode, these two episodes, the finale, this was brought to you by the word because it was really good.
Oh yeah, this episode was fantastic.
This episode was like, we had to do it to them, and they did. They gave it. We got what they got, and dude.
It was super rad.
So quick shout out to our boy Jensen over here for joining us again.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, the guy that looks like Adam Driver. That's John. That's John on the bottom.
Hello. How's it going, guys?
Where would that be? The bottom left. And I'm the fat guy that never shuts up. This is the season 8 finale. Let's get into it. General thoughts. Go.
Okay. This episode, well, the set of 2 episodes, the whole thing was, I had a couple predictions for this. Number 1, I kind of thought it was going to be Cozy Glow being the bad guy, because it was either Chrysalis in disguise or just Cozy Glow, and it turned out to be just Cozy Glow. But at the same time, I also had another thought. I felt like what lies beneath was almost a precursor to this episode. And honestly, I basically called it. It definitely was, in terms of them proving their worth to the tree, and then the tree rewarding them at the end of this episode.
Yeah, it kind of made me feel bad for the Spike episode, Father Knows Beast, or whatever it was called, because like literally, and I understand that episode, or well, obviously these aren't the correct production order they air in, but whatever. That episode literally felt like it was tacked on just to, have the 26 episode runtime, contract. But dude, if you had What Lies Beneath go directly into this episode, I'm telling you, this almost could have been a 3-parter to me, because they flow really well.
Oh, they do. They really do.
So I definitely agree. I definitely agree on the fact that they all flow well together. Though I do actually like the idea. I do like the way that it panned out with there being an in-between episode. I kind of wish there had actually been more than one, and we hadn't just had the Spike episode in between the two, because I think leaving a couple episodes of time to sort of anticipate, okay, Cozy Glow, there's clearly something more going on with Cozy Glow, and then coming back in the finale, and it's like, okay, now we got our answers. I actually kind of preferred that, though I definitely do feel like they serve well as a 3-parter. When I was actually watching it, and then, because I watched all the last 7 episodes of the season just today, I was definitely, when I'm looking back on it, I definitely felt like What Lies Beneath, to me, almost felt like a sort of mini finale to the show as a whole. That felt like that was the finale of the character arc, at least in this season, for the young 6, for the student 6, whatever you want to call them. That, yes, they work as a 3-parter, but I almost think of What Lies Beneath as like finale, and it's its own sort of like finale to the season, and then we have like a sort of overarching finale. The way that all 3 of those flow together was really, really, really cool. I don't think we've ever really seen that before in the show, if I remember correctly. We haven't. I mean, like, the closest thing I can think of is in season 5, the way that there's kind of this, like, okay, they leave off the story of and that's the closest thing I can think of to what we have here, where we have this sort of episode that directly ties into it and directly sets up what happens in the finale as directly as we had in this season. And I think that was really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I really agree with you on that. If you look at What Lies Beneath, it almost feels like What Lies Beneath was kind of meant to not really wrap up, but definitely kind of, almost finish up the Young Six's character arcs. That way the finale could focus solely on the action and what they've learned, because if they had tried to put in the Young Six conquering their fears in these 2 episodes, the Tartarus plot would have probably been even more, would have had less screen time, and it would have felt too bloated. So the fact that they divided it up like that, it was good, because this finale is very atypical from other finales. Because if you look at all the other finales, the Starlight Glimmer one, and except for the season 1 finale, if you look at all the finales, Starlight Glimmer, the Starlight Glimmer one, and maybe Magical Mystery, except for season 1 of Magical Mystery Cure, they're all like usually some kind of like big actiony set piece or something like that, you know, big battle. This episode was quite literally a war of words because Cozy Glow is a better military strategist than the actual equestrian military. So it was really interesting to see how, you know, because Cozy Glow feels like it makes sense because the last new antagonist for a show was basically Starlight. So, you know, going from Starlight to Cozy Glow made a lot of sense narratively. So it was really cool because realistically, the heroes won without doing any actual fighting. They just used their brains.
Yeah, you had a little bit of that set piece, that whole set piece, like grand action finale come in the sort of like catacombs a little bit at the end. But yeah, I agree. For the most part, it was not very action filled, but it was just as compelling as something like the season 4 or the season 5 finales, which were very action oriented. This was as entertaining, but in a different way.
I'm very much of I really like these kinds of finales as well, because the main thing I look for when I rate an episode is how well is it written, how well is the pacing, and how well does it space everything out in terms of action versus words and dialogue and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And in this finale specifically, it had great writing, you know, because the writing really took the center stage for this finale.
Yeah.
The action had some good moments. And it was subdued, but in the best of ways, because it wasn't meant to be a big action set piece. The action flowed well with the writing, and you know, kind of the ideas that were presented in this finale were actually really well thought out, and it was very well paced.
Yeah, you know, it kind of, you know, just one quick little comparison, then we'll jump into the episode here. We were talking about season this finale. You know what these two finales kind of feel like? You guys remember Kill Bill? How the first Kill Bill was like almost all crazy, holy shit action, but then the second one, there's still kind of action, but it's like more focused on like, you know, developing the characters and the philosophies and all that. That's what these kind of feel like. Season 4 kind of feels like Kill Bill 1. This one feels like Kill Bill 2, and trust me, I love crazy, holy crap action, and Season 4 is always, that battle against Twilight and Tyrek is always going to be amazing. But just for my preferences, I'll take dope writing and characters almost every single time, unless it's Dragon Ball Z, in which case I just want to watch screaming and people getting punched in the face. So, this episode had a lot good going for it. So the episode... So it starts off, and it opens with Cozy Glow. Now, since the day she showed up, right, people have been shady on Cozy Glow. I feel like everyone collectively thought there was something off about her since the first episode, and this one just really hams in. She's helping everybody. Everybody likes her. It's almost like the Raze were like, okay, screw subtext. We're just gonna hit him on the head with it, and then from there,
basically from there, magic is being lost.
Yeah,
and no one knows why. So they convene at Canterlot, and they all decide that Tyrek might be behind it because he's the closest match to magic being taken away, which is him sucking it away. And so they're like, the main 6 are like, okay, we're going to go down to Tartarus and we'll go, you know, confront Tyrek about this whole thing. Whereas at the school, the young 6 are basically told, hey, Starlight's going to be in charge of you guys. Go ahead and kind of do things as usual. And then Starlight isn't there the next day. Cozy Glow basically brings a complete bullshit excuse of, oh, she had to go with the girls, so she left me in charge.
And
I'm like, oh, hell no.
And immediately Smolder, I think it was, is suspicious. She's like, wait a minute, dog, that doesn't make sense. And Cozy we're not all, I forget the word I forget the adjective she used, but she said something like, we're not all, conniving or we're cunning, whatever, dragons. We're ponies. We trust each other. That's basically, I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what she said. And she's slowly turning against the Young Six, which again, this episode, and I'm kind of glad they did. To drop all notions of subtext and being subtle, and they're just like, screw it, let's just go balls deep in it. And even before the main six leaves, something's wrong, because Cozy Glow's like, I packed your bags, and I'm just like, oh my god, what is it? No.
I found Cozy Glow to be probably one of the most sinister villains that we've had in the show, and I think the show, as it's gone on, has sort of kind of continued to like up the ante with these like interesting villains. I mean, Chrysalis is disturbing because she can basically invade an entire city without you knowing, unless you're ready for it. Tyrek just takes everyone's magic. Starlight Glimmer is maybe just as, if not more powerful than Twilight, etc., etc. But I think as far as being like just downright creepy, I think Cozy Glow was definitely the most creepy that we've had so far. Just the entire lead up, including What Lies Beneath, and just how, like, yes, they throw subtext to the wind, obviously, by the time they reach the finale. It's like, okay, she's the villain. But it's like, what's she planning? Though she, I think, was kind of like one of the most ominous, especially because she's just a child. I think it's definitely one of the most unsettling villains that we've had, and I was very entertained by that entire setup.
And I had to add on to what you said, Jensen. I really like the fact that Cozy Glow isn't, because to add on to what until obviously her face turned, a lot of people thought Starlight was a really creepy villain because of the fact that she's just a pony, and in her reasonings and all that before and after the finale. But obviously she's a good guy. With Cozy Glow, I actually really like that she's just an evil kid, because we live in an age bad isn't quite enough. Villains need thought out reasons and explanations, and heroes need flaws and all these deep character complexities. I mean, you see like Disney, for instance, do it in their new movies, like with Frozen, Big Hero 6, and that's awesome. But what Cozy Glow reminds me of is, to use a Disney example again, is villains like the evil queen, or the coachman for Pinocchio, or Maleficent, kind of like Chrysalis too, where they're just evil. They're fun villains, and they're good villains, and they're just evil. I love complex villains, but sometimes just an evil villain is enough. And Cozy Glow is she's just a bad apple, and it's awesome.
Yeah. And
well, what I will say
really well.
Yeah. What I will say with that is, if you look at like Eddie, like what you were saying was the fact of, she's much simpler, but at the same time, I also feel that she's much subtler about it, because if you really look at it, she very much seems to be kind of a puppet master. Like she's holding all the strings. She's pulling which strings need to be pulled in order for her plan to come to fruition. And from that perspective, you're looking at, she's not just simple, she's much more subtle,
real quick, John, I agree with that a lot, and it's actually kind of funny because I was just basically about to bring that up. Is that, like, motivation-wise, you've got a villain like someone like Tyrek, who's just going for world domination, and then you've got a villain like Cozy Glow, who's just going for world domination. So, like, motivation-wise and like complexity-wise, as far as their characters and their backstories, they're very simplistic. They're just pure evil. But in the execution of it, it's kind of it's nice to see. I think Cozy Glow was a fun villain to watch, because you had someone like Tyrek, who was pure evil, but his method of going about it was basically just brute forcing his way through everything. Cozy Glow is probably physically the least threatening character. She's just a child. She's not like a magical prodigy or anything like that. She purely does things through setting everything up so that everything falls into place. And that, again, combined with the fact that she's just a child, is incredibly menacing. Like I said, that was, I think, why she was kind of one of the creepiest villains that we've had. Because again, you've got evil like Tyrek or like Chrysalis, like I said, who just brute force their way through everything, and then Cozy Glow, who's basically all just methodical planning.
Yeah,
and that's awesome.
I know a lot of the I know a lot of the Bronians are going to and are having a field day, you know, psychoanalyzing this kid and looking all like
Yeah.
and trying, you know, it's just that. But dude, it's kind of hard not to. She's just so good. You know what I mean? It's awesome. You know, and but to continue on, you know, now that we're done putting over Cozy Glow, which don't worry, we'll probably do that when we summarize the shit at the end. So Cozy Glow takes control of the school. Well, Maurice LaMarche, oh wait, no, his name's Naysay. So Maurice LaMarche comes back, and he's like, okay, check it. The reason why magic's disappearing is because of these other creatures in the school. I don't have proof. Yeah. I don't have any proof, but you know, it's your guys' fault. So I'm taking over the school.
Yeah, the immigrants are taking our jobs.
They took our magic. So
I don't have any corroborative evidence, but I know it was them.
So Cozy Glow's like, okay, Mr. Naysay. And then at this point, I believe they cut to Twilight and them, who they get to the door to Tartarus. And by the way, I appreciate that they're saying Tartarus and Tara Strong isn't saying Tartarus like she did 7 years ago.
Tartarus, yeah.
Tartarus, yeah. So like they go right, and there's a door, and Twilight's like, well, Sora hasn't come here, so we don't have the Keyblade. What do we do now? And we don't have magic. But then she looks in her bag, and what was this thing called? It was called like the artifact of ever openness or something.
The artifact of unlocking or something like that.
It was the key. I know the word unfettered was in there. It was like very similar to the phrase unfettered access. It was like the key of unfetteredness or something like that. I just watched the episode today, so I wish I could remember it. It was it wasn't unfettered access. Like unfettered was the last word in the. It was like it was a 2-word name. I could look it up. But hang on a second. You guys keep doing your review. I'm gonna go find it really quick because I literally have the episode up in the back right now.
So it's a MacGuffin, and Twilight's like, wow, Cozy Glow really did think of everything, and literally and. I couldn't find the episode on Daily Motion for some reason, so I had to watch a dude react, a dude's pony avatar react to it, and he literally said the same thing I did at the same time. We were just like, oh my god, because I'm thinking to myself, doesn't that just seem? Well, I mean, Grand Cozy hasn't given them a reason to not trust him, so they get into Tartarus, and there's just a cockatrice there. But even the evil creatures have lost their magic, and it's like, damn, shit's serious. Well, they get to Tyrek, and Tyrek is like, "What's up? Remember me?
How you bitches doing? It's good to see you again."
Yeah, Twilight's like, yeah, how could we forget you? You're only the most consistently voted popular villain in this entire show. And he's like, oh yes, that is me, isn't it? Chrysalis who? So they're like, what's happening, bro? What's happening to all the magic? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe if you let me out of here, I will. And then they're like, nah. And they're like, nah, dude, screw you. You know, you're going to be trapped in here forever. But then one of them's like, aren't we trapped in here forever? And they're like, well, damn. So.
Yeah, it's like, we'll be trapped in here with you. So, you know.
Yeah, so then, and I forgot to mention, so before this, Maurice LaMarche locks the young six in a closet, but Sandbar pretends to betray them, to go off with them. He gets the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and he gets the Cutie Mark Crusaders to go help set him free. Well, that plays into this because Tyrek tells him who is like the person behind all his pen pal, his protege, is then it cuts to Sandbar saying the word Cozy Glow, and I'm like, there it is. Well, they break into the cellar, and they're like, oh no, I'm sorry, Sandbar and the CMC break into the cellar, and they're like, what in the blue hell is going on here?
And they find Starlight Glimmer trapped in like this magical vacuum thing.
Yeah, she can't talk, she can't move. It looks like some kind of weird, like, It looks like some weird kind of like sacrificial bull crap. And she says this like 3 times throughout the episodes. She's like, friendship is power, and I'm gonna have all the friends and all the power in the world. I'm gonna be the empress of friendship. What really adds on to Cozy Glow's twistedness when she says this, you know, the friendship is power thing. I mean, obviously it's a play on friendship is magic, but what adds on to her twistedness is that she doesn't say, I'm gonna have all the power in Equestria. She's like, you know, I'm gonna have all the friends in Equestria. I'm gonna be the empress of friendship. So it's like, it's just like, I'm trying to put it in the words, but I'm tired.
Let me kind of help you out here. So my takeaway from this is whenever she was saying friendship is power and I'm going to become the empress of friendship, you ever notice how earlier in the series, the one I'm thinking of right now is when they defeated Tyrek for the first time. Well, the only time, honestly. When they defeated Tyrek, it was something about Twilight saying, I possess in me the most powerful magic of all, the magic of friendship. And I'm just like, when Cozy Glow said friendship is power, I'm like, wait a second. It has been translated before that friendship does basically show power. You know, you look at the elements of harmony. They were used as a friendship beam to make things happen. When you know, friendship tends to be the main thing, kind of like the end-all be-all MacGuffin, if you will, to kind of solve a lot of the problems in Equestria. And now we're seeing someone actually understand that that's actually what's going on, and they're going to try and use it.
Yeah, I know. She doesn't, you know, she's not like, again, she's not like Tyrek who wants to consume all magic. She doesn't even want to get rid of all the magic. Well, that's what she's doing, but in the sense of like, she wants the power to get more power. It's not even about so much domination as it's just getting strong. It's really good. So that ends the first part.
So I know I haven't been in the conversation for the last minute because I had to tag off for a second. So pardon me if I miss a little bit of context. Before entirely from that.
Yeah. So no, we ended the first episode. I mentioned how the CMC and Sandbar break in, and how I thought it added an extra layer of twistedness to Cozy Glow's character. How, you know, she says friendship is power, right? But how she associates power and friendship as like one and the same. And I'm like, dude,
and that's the thing that I wanted to bring up that I think is kind of one of the interesting points about her character. The way that I think the wording is really interesting, that not just the whole friendship is power thing, but the whole like, I'll be the empress of friendship and I'll have more friends than anyone. That to me is this really interesting play on her being a child and not understanding how friendship works. Like, you're not going to have lots of friends just because you have all this power, you know, but she just thinks, oh, I have all the friends, I have all the power. And that's like this very, you know, obviously childish misconception of what friendship and like magic within the Equestrian universe, and then, you know, subsequently power is. And it's like, yeah, you're just gonna destroy the world, basically. Who knows what would have happened if she had succeeded? Magic would have been gone. She'd have no friends, and everything sucks. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's. Here's a fun thought. Maybe that's what that post-apocalyptic future in the season 5 finale was. The one that's just like where there's nothing. That's like project. But setting that aside, I liked that wording. The way that she's like, I'll have all the friends. It's just, again, it's such a drastic misunderstanding of what friendship is that only a child could make. And that, I think, was another interesting part about her character. That being said,
what I will say is, going on with that, I do agree with you that it is kind of a childish misconception of friendship and power being the same thing. But at the same time, like I said before, friendship does have power in this universe, so it makes it all the more interesting.
Well, no, absolutely. But the thing is that that's true friendship, because what Cozy Glow would have is just basically tyranny. She's not going to have any friends. She just thinks that if I have all this thing, everyone will like me and everyone will be my friend. Whether she's actually, I don't think she's actually, you know, looking for that attention. Like, oh, I want everyone to like me. She just thinks that, oh, I will have friends, and then friendship. It's like, no, she's probably going to have nothing. But that's what I ruined Equestria along the way, which is the problem there. But that so John, I do agree with you. Friendship in Equestria can effectively be like, let's say weaponized. That's kind of like a violent term for it, but that's essentially what it is. But, I think without diving way too deep into it, I think friendship is basically like harmony, and it counters discordant things. So, whether it could be weaponized just at will, we don't know. That's for another theory video. But I do agree with that. I like the idea that Cozy Glow recognized that it's powerful, but again, just doesn't understand that it's like, no, friendship is a force for good. You can't just use it willy-nilly. That's, I think, kind of what's sort of implied just over the course of the whole show.
I was just going to say, I agree with both of you very heavily. I was going to add in, I was just like, the funny thing is, to John's point, Cozy Glow isn't wrong. Friendship literally is powerful in this world. I mean, you see what it's done for Twilight, and this probably isn't the case. But what would be more twisted is if she actually does realize the distinction between friendship and power, but she just doesn't care. But I mean, obviously she's a kid, so that probably won't be where they take her character next if she comes back. But I just think that's a neat little thought.
Now, I want to talk a little. Well, first of all, when I talk, does it switch to my video on your guys' end? Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure, because for some reason I wasn't sure if it was doing that for the video feed. As long as that's there, good. But I want to talk about Naysay for a second here, because I really want to say that, yes, I still think, just like with School Days, that he is racist. Like, very much so.
Absolutely. He's literally white.
But at the same time,
he's
his
more
whole
like
thing,
ashy.
but at the same time, looking at it from this episode, yes, he's still racist. However, he gets a little more depth to his character, because really his reasoning, while still racist, is kind of understandable, because, not just the fact that he doesn't really understand friendship, but the fact that he doesn't understand the different races because he hasn't really lived in their shoes or walked in their shoes, if that makes sense. Well, in that respect, I really admire his character, because when the young six get freed and they set him free, he's like, I underestimated you guys. I'm sorry. Like, that makes his character all the more interesting.
Well, if you look at it, I mean, realistically, until the main six, showed up, I mean, there was no real social progress in Equestria. I mean, when they defeated Nightmare Moon, I mean, the Buffalo kept to themselves for the most part. The Yaks were solitary in the mountains. The Hippogriffs didn't even technically exist anymore. The Griffins were alone and were solitary and a bunch of jerks. The Dragons were alone and a bunch of jerks. So, and the Changelings were evil at that point. So within maybe a year or so in canon time, literally all of Equestria's enemies are now in a sense of peace, and except for okay, so half of the main villains in the show have been ponies, but the other half hadn't, so it's like, the neat thing I think about Naysay is that at worst you can say he's wrong, but at best, honestly, you can't really say he isn't wrong. You know what I mean? Because it's like, because there's been a lot of social progress
he's racist, but
in this world.
Like, he's racist, but he has the reasoning for it because of everything that's happened to this point. This is the first time that all these creatures have come together and collaborated in any meaningful way, except for maybe the movie.
Yeah, and I appreciate that whenever his characters showed up, they've actually let him not be really one note, So, so to start episode 2, it starts off with, so basically Cozy Glow's really trying to really subtly edge Naysay into giving her control of the school again. Well, they're talking, and then this is when the young six are excuse me. This is when the young six are, they're right outside the door, and then they fall in, and then wait, am I getting things mixed up?
They get rescued by Sandbar, and they were like, okay, because I know that I think it was Gallus who kept trying to open the door, even though it was locked, and Smolder's just like, it's locked, you can't get out. And it's like, well, it doesn't help that I'm, doesn't hurt to keep trying, So they get out, and I love how the CMC are just like, hey, Cozy Glow, it's been a long time. Anything we can help you with? She throws them in a broom closet and is like, yeah, you can help me with cleaning. No, psych. Yeah, I don't give a crap about you guys.
Yeah, she was literally like, I know a diversion when I see it.
Yeah, she literally says, I know a diversion when I see one. It's hilarious.
She dabs, and then she throws them in a broom closet. And then Scootaloo's like, it's not 2016 anymore, loser. And then she just dabs again furiously. So this was my favorite part of the episode. It keeps cutting back and forth between this and the main six, trying to get out of Tartarus. But this was my favorite part of the episode. So Cozy Glow has had enough of Naysay shit, and she leads a school revolt against him by and I love it when shows do this, when when the show remembers things that a character said or did or moments in an episode, and then they bring that back full circle, and then they use it on another character like that to back up their claims, because she gives him a reason you suck speech right in front of the whole school, just completely cuts his balls off, and he's stuttering, trying to come back, trying to make comebacks and stuff. But and she loves it, by the way. Like the whole time, CG just has this giant shit-eating grin on her face, and it's like, and she has the school successfully brainwashed. Because in the first episode, when she took over, there were people talking. She made them food. She gave them tickets to a what was it, a Sassy Saddles or something? No, not Sassy Saddles. The one pop pony.
Sapphire Shores.
Not Coloratura.
Sapphire Shores.
Yeah, Sapphire Shores, correct.
Sapphire Shores. Yeah, she gave him tickets to that. So everybody totally loved her. And again, what makes it so great is that there's no magic spell. There's just very clever mind games. So she takes her army of zombies, leads them against Naysay, and I kept thinking to myself, man, if this was like an R-rated movie, he would have been like, that would have been the end of his character arc right there. He
would have been like dismembered.
Yeah, like that one dude from Sweeney Todd. So they throw him away, and the young six break him out, and he's like, why'd you save me? And they're just like, 'cause it's the right thing, to do. And he's like, well, he uses his amulet to go to the princesses to try and, tell him the situation. So he does that, gets out. Well, what happens next is the young six confront Cozy Glow. And then, while at the same time, the main six convince Tyrek to help them out of Tartarus. And I love this. The way they convince him to help them out of Tartarus is, if you don't help us out of Tartarus, Pinkie Pie is gonna annoy you for all eternity. Which I'm like,
it worked on Applejack. It's gonna work on Tyrek.
That was the funniest thing that I've seen. Seeing Pinkie Pie self-aware of the fact that she can be kind of annoying, and she's like, I'm just gonna I don't. It's just funny because normally she's like, what? I didn't know I was being annoying. I'm just being funny. But then this is her being like, yeah, no, I know I'm being annoying. I'm gonna annoy you to death. So
Pinkie Pie,
which was really hilarious.
Pinkie Pie full on went, I had to do it to him. It was great. So he helps them out. A little muddy on how I remember how Cozy Glow gets captured, but I forgot some of the stuff leading up to it. So if you can fill in the blanks.
Basically what happened is the whole timeline of the magic being stolen is that it's one of those things where I believe it's on the first day unicorns lose their magic. On the second day, the rest of the ponies lose their magic. And on the third day, all magical artifacts stop working.
Yeah,
first day was unicorn. Second day is all magical creatures, period, lose their magic. And third was any sort of relics or artifacts that store magic are completely nullified.
They use the relic, that opening charm. That is used, that's an artifact that's basically used once. And they're trapped there. So they basically get all the creatures together. Fluttershy kind of rallies all the creatures together and says, there is still magic within you. You still have a chance to do this. And they give away their magic to Twilight along with Tyrek, and that gives Twilight enough magical power to open Tartarus's doors again. And I'm like, first of all, that's an interesting piece of lore, but at the same time, it's like, well, that came out of nowhere.
It makes sense. I mean, everyone's theorized that, you know, the Pegasi have some sort of inherent magic and the Earth Ponies have some kind of inherent magic. I mean, it's not too out of the realm of possibility.
Oh, no, it's not like far-fetched or anything. It's just kind of interesting, but it kind of threw me for a loop for a second there. But what I love is that, you know, they go down into the young six go down into where Starlight Glimmer is being held, and it's a vacuum. Basically, they need, if they remove one of the pieces, which is those six artifacts from the scavenger hunt of the Spellvenger hunt. If they remove one of them, it could bring magic back, but it could destroy as well. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But basically, right at the end, all of the young six, as they're being chased by Cozy Glow and her mob army, they literally grab their artifacts from their races and pull at the same time. While that's happening, the Tree of Harmony, remembering this is how it connects back to what lies beneath, because they passed that test by the Tree of Harmony, the Tree of Harmony gives them the power they need to bring magic back instead of destroying everything. Which I'm like, fuck yeah, that's amazing.
That was great.
It was really, really awesome.
So the young six, right? They and to comment on something again, because I watched this while some dude was reacting to it. He proposed the idea that it was like a pseudo passing of the torch when the young six, they get in a circle and they basically channel the Tree of Life's life stream, and which is one of the reasons why What Lies Beneath works so well, is because the Tree of Might sort of kind of gave them its blessing, and this episode was them realizing their innate power, sort of, and basically being able to free Starlight. And obviously, you know, the main six are pretty complex, but they're the elements of harmony they have, they make sense and you can see it. But these guys, you know, one of them being specifically laughter or specifically generous, it's a little more complex than that. So he was like, ooh, are there going to be entirely new elements of harmony? In which case, where I was like, dude, that'd be sick. Wasn't the case, but it was still awesome. So they free Starlight Glimmer. Yana's about to tackle her with a hug. It's great. Starlight's great. Cozy Glow's like, well, shit. Tries to escape, and then she's blocked.
The students are just like, wait a second.
Wait a minute. Wait. And so they look at the runtime left in the episode, and they read the scripts, and they're like, okay, we're supposed to stop being idiots now. Then, you know, they block Cozy Glow.
Yeah.
Who vowed, by the way, to try this again somewhere else. So, you know, repeat offender at 5 years old. That's nice. The main six.
I love the fact that basically once everyone has their magic back, they all convene on the school. So she tries to go many different directions, but she gets stopped by Naysay, by the main six, by the army, by Luna and Celestia and Cadence. Just like, damn.
I mean,
that
seriously,
was really cool. It kind of gets across the severity of it too. It's like, yeah, this, though she is just a fool, this is someone who nearly brought down Equestria's Doom faster than any other villain. So just the way that like everyone just convenes on this courtyard, I'm just like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
it was at this point that Cozy Glow knew. she fucked up.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Chrysalis. It wasn't even Tyrek. It wasn't the Sirens. It was goddamn Cozy Glow.
Right.
It's great. So they're like, so Twilight's like, Cozy, why'd you have to do us like that? And Cozy, and again, this is normally where they try to like spit out their excuse or whatever. No, she's just like, bro, I wanted power. I'm not one note. I just have one desire. Power. And they're like, yeah, well, shut up. Then they banish her to Tartarus. And the next scene is kind of cute because the young six are in graduation garb. And
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're just rehearsing for graduation. We figured since we saved Equestria, we'd basically be graduating now. And Twilight's like, well, yeah, you guys did save the world, but I don't think one semester is enough to.
That was also community gold.
To learn about friendship. And the guy that reacted to this said, he's like, yeah, talk to me when you saved the world like 5 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I love how when Spike's actually like handing out the letters, like he's burping them up.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
So it ends with the dope shot of Cozy Glow getting put in hell, by the way, the 5-year-old, and she's put right next to Tyrek. And she goes, hey, neighbor, wanna be friends? Mwahaha, My Little Pony. I
have to say, I know I brought this up as well, but I have to say, by the way, there's some sort of weird echo. Okay, now it's fixed. Anyway, one thing that I love is I want to get that ending shot of her kind of holding onto the cage bars and I just want to get a screenshot of that and then put soon on the bottom of that. That would be like the perfect meme for this. You know, might upload it to Derpy Brewer. That would be pretty awesome.
You know, Cozy had to do it to him.
Yep. So, that was School Raze, and by God, these season finales just keep getting better and better.
You know, I have to be honest with you. This, to me, felt like, I know in a lot of people's hearts, the definitive finale for the show will always be season 2. Everyone else will be season 4, and I understand that. I respect that. But dude, this is up there. It's up there, like we said, for all the different reasons, and it's all because of Cozy Glow. Because Cozy Glow is something unique from the other villains. You know, Nightmare Moon was all about bitterness because of her self-esteem as she's enshrouding the world in darkness. Chrysalis was all about taking over things and feeding off love. Tyrek was about destruction. Sombra was about control and ruling over things.
It was about crystals.
Starlight Glimmer was all about a broken concept of friendship and a broken heart and all that. The Shadow Pony was based on miscommunication and rejection. But Cozy Glow is just evil. I love it. It's so great. It's awesome. She's just an evil kid.
So on the topic of Cozy Glow, so something interesting that I was thinking during the course of the episode, when we saw in What Lies Beneath, and a little bit in the first half of the finale, and I think in the second half too, whatever, it doesn't matter. And Cozy Glow kind of starts taking like the racist tact, with saying, friendship isn't in your nature, and just kind of going down that road. My initial thought was, is she some sort of spy for the EEA? Because we know that the head of the EEA is a tremendous racist. I was almost expecting when she came into the headmaster's office and he was there, that she would be like, "Hello, Father, I've been doing well." That there was going to be some twist there.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was expecting the entire time. As soon as she took the racist tact, I'm like, wait a minute, is he trying to infiltrate the EEA with like his daughter or something like that? Because like, she's a little young to be like an actual EEA agent. Then when it comes down to Cozy Glow and him basically going head to head without him really knowing it, but still basically like in the spirit of the show, kind of going head to head, I'm like, oh wow. Yeah. This is interesting. Now we've got these two big factors, this huge racist and this like secret tyrant, kind of basically now both being at odds and now both being in the battlefield. It was really, really, really cool.
Also, this was another finale where everyone was like, "Where the F is Discord?"
I was wondering. I did wonder that too, but whatever. He was off doing.
I'm just gonna make a bold prediction right now. If season 9 is truly the last season of Gen 4, here's the end game. Calling it right now. Tyrek and Cozy Glow team up with Chrysalis in like a 4-part episode. It's gonna be Adventure Time, The Misadventures of Flapjack, Billy and Mandy, Kids Next Door. This is gonna be a dope Cartoon Network.
It'll be the ultimate battle between heaven and hell.
Literally. Oh, and then just bring the sirens back for fan service, just cause they were already shown in the shadow, but like just bring it, because why not? Bring Sunset Glimmer, bring everybody back. Don't make it a 4-part finale. Make it like an 8-part finale. That's what I would do. Just because
make the entire season serialized. Just make the entire 26-episode season one continuous story. That's all.
This fandom is able to keep track of every little thing in this show, and this show does not have a negative continuity for the most part. So yeah, just make an entire season that's just one continuity callback, one fan service thing, just the whole thing. In fact, it's a 26-part series finale.
So
that's what I would do.
Going back to this though, let's go over ratings. I personally, I just have to call it 10 out of 10. This was a fantastic episode. This really, again, was very subtle, very, very interesting, very much war of words, and it just had such a great setup and execution. So 10 out of 10 for me.
Jansen?
I really want to give it a 10 out of 10, but the main thing that bothered me about this finale was, what was his name? Racist EA guy. I can't believe.
Oh, Naysay.
My only thing, and I'm sure other people might feel the same way, but his character resolution was just not there for me. I felt like it was rushed. He was just kind of like, oh, I guess other races aren't that bad after all. And like, it makes sense because for his character, it's like we were saying earlier, like he's not right. Like he is a racist, but it's also like you can kind of understand why he believes the things that he believes. Yeah. It's a combination of actual history. Yes, some closed-mindedness, a lot of closed-mindedness, but then also just kind of genuine ignorance, like not knowing that other races can be kind. So it's those two things combined with, like I said, genuine just ignorance and stubbornness. I did think in the finale, the whole idea of, these other characters help me, like that's basically his ignorance now being reconciled. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that other races could be kind, and I hadn't seen that now until I'm seeing it firsthand. But all of that said, I still feel like after all the build-up with him being in the season up until that point, the payoff of his character, like his character's resolution, felt like the typical, oh, I see the error of my ways now. Now, it's hard for me to say that because it's like everything else leading up to that was great. Even in the finale, the way that he kind of was like this sort of, the way that he was used as this plot device to kind of push the plot. And like I said, when he and Cozy Glow were now both in this whole mess together and both being these huge driving points of the episode. That's the only thing that prevents me from giving it a 10 out of 10, because that was like, I really wanted to see, not necessarily him get his comeuppance, but have this sort of bigger realization of, well, maybe there's more out there for me to understand. And he did kind of have that moment, but it just felt like it went by very, very quickly. They gave all of him like a 20-second, kind of explanation, all of that. That is the only thing that kind of still now sort of bothers me about it, is like, dang, I really wanted to see more about him because he's a really fascinating character. It's like genuine, just actual straight up racism in My Little Pony. So the fact that they didn't have like a longer conversation about that at the end was a bit disappointing to me. But other than that, relatively minor complaint, everything else was perfect. Absolutely agree. Cozy Glow was great. The writing was great. The balance of action, the world building and the lore, the pacing, just all of it, fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in agreement. I see what you're saying about the naysay thing. Yeah, because I forgot if you were here when I mentioned this, but one thing I appreciated about Naysay is that for the most part, he wasn't extremely one note, in the sense that whenever he was on screen, give it the premiere or I think he was in a couple other episodes as well.
He was,
yeah. They always gave his character room to breathe and made sure he wasn't just some one-dimensional, let's write this character as his beliefs are wrong just because they're wrong and bad. They actually gave him concrete, reasons and stuff. But like you said, there was just genuine ignorance. And I agree with what you said about his payoff. I feel like I like the payoff a little better because it's mostly just because I really like the line where he said, I guess friendship can take an entire lifetime.
Yes, I did really like that. I do agree with that. And while I do still have my complaints about his character resolution, that line specifically did kind of like, okay, you know what? I can live with this, because I thought that was a really cool. It's both a cool realization for his character, but also just a good moral just in general, as like the show is filled with these genuinely very useful sort of like social commentary and sort of friendship morals. That's a really good one. It's like, it might take a lifetime for someone to really come to terms with reality, but they will eventually. So
that's why again to play on what he says, because if you notice, he doesn't say that, he doesn't apologize, nor is he like, oh, we're friends now. He's just like I was wrong, but it's like it was there, but they should have maybe put more screen time on him,
right?
But you had to figure they couldn't cut out really any much more of the Tartarus stuff.
No, I don't think so either.
The main six, they weren't out of focus, but they were definitely the subplot. And because the episode was like 70% on Cozy Glow.
Yeah.
And then the main six, and even then Sandbar and the Keymark Crusaders. So
right, it was a very busy finale. Like there was, out of all the finales, there was so much that happened in this finale. It honestly felt longer than just
the episode.
Minutes.
Actually, really, realistically, the problem with the episode just comes down to the fact that it only had 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
If these were like, if the episodes were like,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if the episode was like a full 30 minutes, this would have had literally everything.
No,
like if they could have just gone those few extra minutes. Obviously, they can't syndicated television. But long story short. I want to get. I feel like it's weird because I said that this to me has to be top 3 best finales, but I'm actually not sold on it being like a 10 out of 10 because it wasn't perfect. My favorite stuff was Cozy Glow. I feel like I would give it but it's almost there.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's what I was gonna say. Is it? I feel really like. Not bad, because I know the writers probably don't give a crap about my opinion. Like, if I don't give it a 10 out of 10, they're going to be like, dang it, we disappointed Jensen. So, no. But, like, that's why I, like, even just to myself, like, I really want to, like, in my head, think of it as perfect. But it's like there are some things, like, in particular, the resolution of Naysay that just, like, it still bugs me a little bit. Like, I felt like it, like yes, I know they're limited in time, but they could have done. I feel like there's different ways they could have gone about it. Where he's like, I still have my opinions, but thank you for saving me, and I respect you for that type of thing. And then maybe revisit him later in the season or something like that. And despite the fact that, like I said, my resolution didn't entirely satisfy me, the way that he was used in the episode up to that was awesome.
Yeah,
the way that he drove the plot and the way that he was this whole different element that then you get to It's interesting because he both basically forces Cozy Glow's hand, but then also he served as a way. He basically put himself in Cozy Glow's way, and then we get to see Cozy Glow demonstrate her ability to just manipulate people into just like, wow, this guy, the head of the EEA, who's clearly his own sort of like devious sort of guy, she just takes him out like immediately. She's just like, let me just spend 30 seconds and rally the crowd against you. It's like, wow. So the way that he was used as a catalyst for the story all throughout it was fantastic. But that little bit at the end just does bug me. And again, I understand that but anyway, so yeah.
Now I want to give it like I want to give it like a 9.75 because I can't give it a 10, but like and I feel like and I feel like when people say 0.75 when it's so close to the next number, sometimes I feel like that's cheating. But to me, it just feels right because it's so close that there's a couple things holding it back, but it's still fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's what I'm feeling. It's like want this to be perfect, but like no matter how hard I try, I do have to admit that part does bother me. That part is the one thing that I say is not perfect. But
now, anyway. I know, Jensen, you said 9.5, and Eddie, you said 9.75.
Yeah.
I want to kind of explain why I consider it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, please.
Now, Jensen, I completely understand. I completely understand where you're coming from. You know, with the whole Chancellor and Ace kind of a rush redemption thing. That was the whole thing that I didn't like back in season 5 with Starlight Grimmer's backstory. Because it felt really, really rushed. However, when I do scoring stuff, the main thing that personal feelings do definitely get into this, like no doubt. But there's certain levels of does it bother me that kind of works its way into things. So like the whole thing with Chancellor and Ace, I totally get where you're coming from, but from my perspective, it didn't really bother me that much. It was kind of just like a toss in the pan thing compared to the whole like the whole finale, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Yeah.
So it didn't bother me enough to really kind of make a lasting impact on me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I kind of see why I consider it a 10 out of 10, because again, that stuff didn't really bother me.
Yeah, no, that's totally reasonable. And if if it didn't bother me, I would have given it a 10 out of 10 as well. No, I think that's a totally fair rating system.
I feel like part of what holds me back on that is because it's not just the naysay thing, but it's just I guess I sort of hold MLP up to a high standards only in the sense that this show is based off the premise of doing so much with so little, you know, because the show took this simple concept with these, at the time, simple characters and did so much with them that, you know, took them so far. Even the simplest characters in the show have layers to them because they're able to work within the constraints of a girly pony show on a super family-friendly TV show that doesn't even let them get away with a lot of getting stuff past the radar, things like even Fox Kids or Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. So they have to work with all these, because they have a lot of good writers who have worked on, some of the writers they've had have worked on adult shows. I think one of the dudes that wrote an episode wrote some episodes from Family Guy even. So they're able to like
Dave Polsky actually wrote for South Park.
Yeah. So all these writers, they have to do, they are able to tell so much story within the constraints of the premise, the TV station, and the characters, and it's made this thing go on for 9 years strong. So to me, whenever it has, I don't want to say a shortcoming, but to me, when something is very noticeably just noticeable, I guess it's really like extra noticeable. So it
kind of jars you a little bit. Kind of like how now, kind of just so that I could get some clarification from you. You remember how when we were reviewing Rogue One, and I was like, when Vader spoke, it felt like they just took James Earl Jones' voice and didn't do any sort of modulation with it. It just sounded like him, and so it kind of took me out of the movie. Is that kind of where you're coming from? Because it's a little bit more jarring because you know the quality that it's been to.
Because if you listen to Darth Vader's voice in the original trilogy and even Revenge of the Sith, it's got these very subtle, but they're there. You know, there's the slight echo effects. There's the slight amount of not distortion, but there's a tuning. There's a tuning to it. It's like it's really when like episodes like the go-kart episode or when Three's a Crowd stand out. When it's like, I know the show can do better. And Three's a Crowd was one of the most simple premises out there because it's just the three main characters going on a quest. And I feel like the show has done better episodes with almost the exact same premise. So that's what I mean when the show is able to have their simplicity, but not completely do anything with it. Not that the finale didn't do anything. No, it was awesome, but there were some things that to me fell a little flat. Like some of the Tartarus shenanigans didn't really hit me, and the main six, I felt it was another situation like with the movie where, you know, I mean, obviously they all had lines, but it felt like a situation with the movie where they almost didn't need to be there, but they had to because of plot. And it's funny because that was actually acknowledged in the beginning of the first episode where Twilight's like, yeah, and you guys are coming with me, and Rarity, they're all so used to Twilight saying, no, you can't go with me. She's like, not a chance. We're going with me. What'd you say? And Twilight's like, yeah, no, I finally learned, how great we are when we work together. So it's funny that they acknowledge it.
I like that too. That they acknowledge that, by the way. Just so
yeah. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like, I'm rambling now, but the point is that they're so good with simple stuff. And sometimes it falls flat because I don't know that you guys get my point. You can in the rambling, I just said you can pick out the points I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I know this was kind of a long one, but I will say a couple things before we end off here. First of all, the season 8 retrospective won't be next week, but it'll be the week after. Reason for this is a couple things. First of all, for me and Jensen, this weekend is Ponyville Cider Fest. We will have con vlogs for that. And I also need to kind of get a Google spreadsheet open to kind of get everything plugged in and make sure we have the scoring correctly. And that's going to take a little bit of time. So we're going to be able to do the season 8 retrospective very soon. But yeah, so signing off for the final time this season. That's it from me, John.
Me, Snakeskin.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And we will talk to you guys later. Peace out, Dragon.
Adios.